Let's talk about finding your ideal clients. In the world of grant consulting, I had to create some systems over the course of time that helped me determine, is this person going to be an ideal client? Do I want to work with them? And what is a replicable method for determining that from person to person, conversation to conversation? One of the tools that we created here at Funding for Good is our grant readiness assessment. Now, it's on our website. You can download it at any time. And it is basically a checklist of all the documents that we typically find that we need when we're writing foundation grant applications for clients, or when we are teaching them the grant process, whether we're doing template creation for them and then they're putting applications together. It's still stuff they're going to need, right? If you don't have 990s, if you don't have your 501c3 paperwork from the IRS already, like it's been filed, but you don't have it, if you don't have some of that basic stuff, you're not even really ready to write grants. So if you don't have that stuff, you're not an ideal client for me yet, because I can't write grants for you, right? I can't even teach you like what's put together. I can help you with some verbiage. I can help you put together an executive summary. I can help you put together a budget, but you're not ready to write grants yet. You're ready to write components of grants. So by going through that grant readiness assessment and seeing what a client has or doesn't have, I can determine, can we help them get stuff ready, or are they in a place where we can help them with elements of grant writing, but not actually submitting proposals? It doesn't make sense to put together grant research if you know you're not going to have your tax status back for 3 to 6 months, because a lot of the foundations that you found may have applications that are due between then, or that may change in 6 months. So, it really is helpful to understand where people are right now when they're hoping to hire you, to see if they're even eligible. We have a grant research questionnaire, which is another great tool to help us determine if folks are really ready for what they feel like they're ready for, right? You can always do grant research. It doesn't matter if you're able to apply for grants, you can do grant research. Sometimes people come to us, and one of the questions on our grant research questionnaire is, when was your organization established? Like, when did you get your 501c3 paperwork from the IRS? Not from your state, but from the IRS. And if that has come within the last 24 months, then we already know up front there's a lot of foundations who will not give you money because you're so new. Now, there are some that will. Pretty much anybody can be funded at any point in time as long as you have a 501c3 or nonprofit tax ID status. But it's less likely that we're going to find a lot of really robust prospects, right? So we know that on our end, so we can have a much clearer conversation and create really realistic expectations for that client. If you don't have any assessment tool at all, then I would encourage you to create one as a consultant. So it will help you determine, where is this person in the process? What can you help them with? What services could you pitch to them? What can you actually do to help build their capacity and move them forward as an organization? I'm always happy to have conversations with people that are really new. Sometimes people call me and they're like, hey, so we're thinking about starting a nonprofit and we want to get grants to do that. Well, that's okay. I can have that conversation with you and help you understand. If you don't already have a 501c3 or some other nonprofit status, you're not going to qualify for grants. You have to have that first. So you can't want to start a nonprofit by getting grants. It doesn't work that way. Grants are one diversified funding stream that nonprofits qualify for, but they're also grants for for-profits too. But it shouldn't be the reason that you start your organization. So that's where I go back to my conversation about nonprofits, your tax ID status, not your business model. You shouldn't start a nonprofit because you think you can get grants. That's just the dumbest thing ever. It's like saying you're going to start a small business because you can take out a business loan. Are you going to take out a business loan every year? That's not a business model, not a successful one anyway. But a lot of times people have that thought when they're going into the nonprofit world. So I like to be extremely direct and help people understand that's not a successful model for running a business. Right? This kind of goes back to strategic planning, but want to make sure that you understand you can't rely on grant funding. You shouldn't rely on grant funding. So me as a consultant, having that conversation with someone initially helps set some very specific parameters and expectations of, are they an ideal client? At this point, probably not. And then I can say to them, once you've done X, Y, and Z, then we're in a better place to help you move forward, right? So if you don't have any systems in place yet, I would encourage you to put some in place to determine who your ideal prospects are and the services you will be able to help provide them with based on the evaluation tool that you have. And if you haven't checked it out, check out our grant readiness assessment. It might be a good place for you to get started.